Hello, hello, hello. It's Code Slither.
Into
It
his
is,
house.
yeah, right. It is the one and only Matthew Matson, and he is joined by the lovely and talented Pop Blender. Um, man, I'm feeling all kinds of goofy, dude. We were just chatting a little bit beforehand, and I was talking about how tired that I am. I did work today. What about you, Matthew? Did you work today as well, or were you able to take the day off?
Yeah, no, I worked a 12-hour yesterday, and I work today,
Woo!
and I work a
So,
12-hour tomorrow. And
but you, I guess, so the con that you went to, the Dallas Fort Worth GI Joe, an action figure show, right?
yep,
Um, you live closer to that than I do from Georgia,
yeah,
Augusta, Georgia,
yeah.
right?
It's 25 minutes from my house.
Okay. Okay. So, man, if I could have been only that lucky, me and three-star draw, we we made the trip down to Joefest in Augusta, and it was a blast. And we're going to get into that in a couple minutes, obviously, in your trip as well. But yeah, that drive, man, you know, flying has become something that I am almost kind of scared to do right now.
I'm not scared to do it. It's just so frustrating. I don't want to do it.
That's probably more appropriate. That's probably more appropriate. Yes, it's not. I guess scared is probably the wrong word. But in the last few years, I just feel like every time I pull my phone up, there is a video of someone getting dragged off, or there is some crazy something happening,
Yeah,
or
and then
restrictions,
you've
whatever.
got the Boeing planes falling out of the
Yeah,
sky.
that's true. And I know a pilot who comes in to my bar, and very very cool guy. He's been a pilot for several years, and we got into that discussion, and also from a manufacturing standpoint, and it
Yep.
really really makes you wonder, what's going on when we're talking about putting people
Hmm.
tens of thousands of feet in the air.
Well, I mean, I'm a pilot myself, or I used to fly, and I treat a couple of commercial pilots right now, and we were chatting about it too, and it's crazy. I mean, with my dad working at NASA and all around the space program, we had lots of contacts in the aviation business, um, and to see the downfall of quality. Um, I don't want to say across the board, but it's becoming more common of a thing. And I've got a friend of mine's an engineer at Bell Helicopter, has been for 25 years now, something like that.
Okay.
He worked on the Osprey. You
Oh,
look at
cool.
the kids that are coming in today, or the people that are working on stuff, and there's a lack of detail, a lack of passion for their work that's
Okay.
coming across.
Um,
So
yeah, it's like I said, I mean, when you're talking about flying, 150 or whatever, 200, whatever it is, whatever the number is, depending on the plane, um, attention to detail is probably something that's kind of important, right?
yes,
I
exactly.
would say. Well, either way, neither one of us flew. It doesn't mean I won't be flying in the future. However, a 6+ hour drive to Joe Fest from Nashville to Augusta, um, it was fun, and it was fun because I went with my cousin.
Yeah.
We were in the truck. We cut up a bit, the whole time there. I had actually worked the night before
Hmm.
and still had some things to get together, like a lot of us do, right? You're that last minute, you're trying to shove this and that in the bag, and oh, I got batteries for the GoPro, or I've got the selfie stick thing, or whatever it is, and so I ended up staying up really late. I probably got about 3.5 hours of sleep before we left, and thank God I wasn't driving. He drove the entire leg down
Wow.
there and back. And so, props to him. He is in the chat, but props to him for sure
Yeah.
for, driving all the way. and it really saved me Thursday night into Friday for sure. But we'll get into a little bit. I did want to get with the chat a little bit. Let's see here. Let me bring folks up. Do a couple little things here and there. Yeah, 3-star draw was the first one in the chat. And then we have Son of a Crayon Slayer is in here. Matthew, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What are you doing in there? Conhuesos is here as well. And I know that there are a few streams going on. One big one that you and I both know, although I don't think we cross any people. Maybe we do. I don't know. Tuesday night's main event. But I know Aaron, the toy enhancer, usually has his Tuesday stream. So we'll probably see some people roll in as it goes along. Jay Gonzo is here as well. What's going on? And I expect maybe a few people that I ran into, this past weekend. Maybe you, I don't know. But some of the folks that I see in our chats and in Punk's chat and a lot of them were down there as well. And so we got David R. What's up? How you doing, man? So we'll add some people as we get moving, but let's start. I want to ask you about your experience because some of the people that might come into the chat were there for my experience, but I want to ask you about your experience, and I want you to kind of give a rundown and everything. So let's just roll with it. And you take it away, my friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a local event. It started quite a while ago, way before Joefest started, and it was an event that the first one was held in a church on a Saturday. Wow. And so they just had a little kind of swap meet, get together, action figure guys. And then he started getting the convention center in Grapevine, and it built up. And next year it's going to be at the Marriott by the airport. So they're expanding and growing every year. It went from a 1-day show to a 2-day show, now to a 3-day show.
Awesome.
And so it keeps getting bigger, and they keep bringing in more guests. Last year was a blast. I went in there and met Pixel Dan and Ron Rudat and hung out with some friends. Always seeing the local guys there, because all the local guys that are on the toy hunt or I see out at the stores or whatever, they're there with booths setting stuff up. And then this year was different. And so I got the commander's package to go all 3 days, because normally I just go 1 day. And then to do that, it gave me access to the meet and greet on Friday. And my friend Gray Childs was the host. They wrangled him up and got him to play host to all the guests. And Gray, I mean, we've known each other for over a decade. I haven't seen him in person in a long time, so I didn't recognize him. He had a big beard, and he had
hate it when that happens too.
had some goofy hats and stuff like that on. I had forgotten how tall that guy is. I mean, he's got to be 6'6" or something, close, 6'4", something like that. But so we got to chatting, and he took great care of all of the original OG Hasbro guys. So he was wining and dining them, taking care of their wives, making sure everybody was out shopping, kept busy, had no needs or wants for the whole thing. He took care of all that, got to sit in on some panels. Man, he was having a good time. And so that event on Friday was just this room, and it was stocked full of local beer and wine and cookies and water and soda, and everybody was just hanging out with Larry Hama and Kirk Bazigian and all those toy designers. Got to chat with some of them. So cool. I missed some photo opportunities. Dan Klingensmith Jr. spotted me right away, knew who I was, came up to me, and we started chatting, and that was pretty cool. One of the old Hasbro designers, Frank, came up to me and said, "Hey, I remember having dinner with you in 2014 at JoeCon." And so we got to chatting about stuff. And he's a local substitute teacher here, so he stays around there. One of my buddies from a photo collab group that I'm in, Cap Wolf Photos, he was in charge of all the videos and interviews, and so I was getting all the behind the scenes stuff with all the stuff he was running around doing. And Bobby comes in with his entourage,
Sure. Oh yeah.
Ninja and Laser Pants and all of his crew from V Connolly and Blue Serendipity and Lyle Convoy and you name a regular in one of Bobby's chats, and a large portion of them were here at the DFW show. The Titan from Punks, and you'll see him in a bunch of chats. Rachel, not Rachel Salinas, Carlos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen
Was
her in the chats as well.
him. Yes, him.
Or, oh, I'm sorry. I mean him. Hello. Like, yeah, it's an easy mistake to make. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Yeah. But Carlos is awesome. And he and his wife share Facebook, and he uses her YouTube account. And so, we've had lots of meetings and stuff online. And so he was there. Jeff Butler, he had a booth there that was set up to sell some stuff. You may recognize that one or not, but it was great to meet everybody and to realize how many people recognize me. As soon as I said my name, like, oh yeah, I remember you from this chat or that chat or whatever. So I got hanging out with people. Brian Hodges, what a nice dude. That guy's amazing. And the stuff that was on sale at the tables, a lot of it was pretty good price because, well, to be fair,
that's the great part, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that went on clearance at Ross that people picked up, so they were selling it cheap at the convention too, and some people that weren't. And then you had the finest, the 501st was there.
Nice.
So you had a bunch of Star Wars cosplayers, some GI Joe too. You had a Sergeant Slaughter cosplayer.
Okay.
Random Diorama was there. He came by. He came out of his shell to go to an event and talk to other humans for a little bit. And I got talking with him, got him to, chill out for a little bit, feel a little more comfortable. He sat in a panel with me and, hung around, met some other people around there. And it was a great show. And, Bobby was the front man. No matter what he thought about me, he still shook my hand after he knew who I was.
Okay.
And we started, we talked a couple of times during the show, and Laser Pants, he kind of knows who I am too. I'm in their chats all the time. So, Bobby knows me from some drama but a lot of sales from his shop.
I was going to say, right. Like it's, I know there is some drama with him, and I caught wind of some of it this weekend. But still, doesn't mean that you haven't picked up on product, right? It doesn't mean you haven't bought stuff. So
yeah. And to me, it's just like, you got to have a sense of humor, guys. I mean, come on.
Yes.
If you're going to be that uptight about everything, you're going to be miserable your whole life. You got to understand what sarcasm is. You got to understand what having fun is. And the difference between, mean spirited and just jabs,
Right. I mean, it's, I would dare say Bobby's probably taken a lot of jabs, right, from the community, but he's probably taken many of his own. It's a give and take relationship.
And I've never actually, jabbed at Bobby or Laser Pants. Really, it was other people, and that caused the drama. But anyway, everybody was cordial, everybody was nice, and
yeah,
I got up there and I bought the product that I needed to. Got some bone collectors for some friends, and Loki Wartooth, you still owe me shipping.
Yes, we will get to him. I will.
But yeah, so I picked up a couple of bone collectors for some people, and just had a good time. I saw a set of figures that I wanted, and I was debating about it, and then they were half gone, and I was like, okay, so that wasn't for me. Did my thing, got my signatures, talked to the people I wanted to talk to, had great conversations, and then at the end of the day on Sunday, Cap Wolf, my buddy, was doing a deal with one of the vendors there, and so I was just kind of hanging out with him, and he was doing the deal, and I was looking over, and I saw the Mirage turtles, and I was like,
Okay.
I missed those. I really liked those. How much you selling them for? And he told me, and I was like, that's an awesome price. I need to see what I can do. Walked around for a bit, debated a whole bunch of stuff. Decided not to buy anything else. Talked to him again, and was like, I know you're looking for some bath pieces. I have some. Let's kind of connect and see if you need any of them. And so I left the show, went home, took some pictures of it, sent it over to him, and he's like, I need 99% of what's on that picture. And I'm like, okay, so what kind of deal you're going to give me on those turtles then for this? And we worked it out, and we met up later that evening as he's on his way home,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's right.
I got those bad boys.
Yeah. All right. Love it,
they're
man.
they're sweet. I mean,
Got what you wanted, something you wanted, and you were able to work it out.
yeah,
And partial trade, right?
yeah.
You know.
And so, I mean, I love I love the Ninja Turtles. I'm a huge GI Joe fan, but Turtles has a very special place for me too. And I go through these phases. I mean, I love the Mirage Turtles because they're the originals. I love the 1990 movie Turtles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the 2012 animated series Turtles. And
I actually really do like those as well. And I started watching that series with my son
yeah,
and really got into it. And man, I bought a ton of those turtles.
my daughter loved that series. I
did.
mean, that's her Turtles that's her Turtles is the 2012.
Speaking of somebody else that loves those turtles, Legend series is here.
What's
And
up?
he loves those too. What's up, Legend? And real quick, I wanted to get this in here because what 3-Star Draw says, was it hot in Dallas? Because it was sure wasn't Augusta. Was it really warm down there?
I mean, it was pretty warm. Actually, Saturday was kind of a cool day. But it was warm. It's getting warmer this week. So I think it was a little hotter
Okay.
than it was in Atlanta because my wife was saying, I'm glad we went to Atlanta last week and not this week.
Man, oh man, dude, it was sweaty down there. It
Yeah.
was hot from the time we pulled up to the time we left. It was steamy.
Oh yeah.
Steamy.
And then my other favorite Turtles is the IDW
Yeah.
Turtles, the first 100
Yeah.
issues of that.
Okay.
And so I've got representations of all of those turtles. And I'm like, that's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, man.
I have all the versions that I love the most. And, the 2003 series, I didn't get into it at the time. Everybody's saying it's so Mirage, it's so, old school. But there's something about the 2012 series that just put everything together in a great fashion. And for me, it worked well with the IDW comics because it expanded the whole lore. It went through all of it with the Fujitoid. It went through with Usagi Yojimbo. It went through a whole bunch of different mutations and, mutated Shredder and all kinds of stuff. And they had a different take on Karai, which every version of the Turtles has a different take on Karai.
Yes, every version has a different take on her for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I had a blast hanging out with everybody. Having dinner or having the meet and greet with everybody. I didn't go out to dinner with anybody or anything like that because I live so close and I spend some time with the family.
Right. And that's one of those things too, I guess, compared to our trip where, you've really got some planning. You've got the hotel, are you going to drive? Are you going to fly? Do you need to rent a car? You don't really know where you're at. You don't know where anything is. And so there's so much involved with that as far as the planning. Whereas for you, you're so close. I mean, you can go home every night. Hell, you went home and got some stuff to trade. That's how close you were. And that's actually awesome. We don't really, we have a con that happens here in Nashville, but it doesn't really draw in, a lot of names, and it doesn't really, I mean, yes, some people show up, but it's not like Joefest. It's not like, DFW, even the one you went prior, it's like, it's just not something that happens here a lot. In the future, will it? Yes, because Nashville is a destination city.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of surprised that they have not worked harder for something like that and really set up something strong for people to come to town, especially as much as our local government tries to focus on tourism, especially
Right.
as a heavy thing here. And so yeah, it sounds like obviously you had a great time and you were able to relax at home each night
And
and
I didn't
show
have to
back
take any
up.
time off of work.
Right. Right. 3 Star says that the Nashville Con is growing. It will eventually be huge because of that. And what he means of that is that the tourism aspect, the
Mhm.
ability for people to come here and really go out, go to Broadway, depending on the time of year it is, maybe go to a Titans game, or if it's in the summertime, whatever. They can sweat just like we do here with the humidity, because it's just as bad almost here, I guess, as it is in
Yeah.
Georgia, really.
Yep.
But so no, like breakfasts where there was someone attending that you could have gone to, or anything of those kind of things.
I I probably could have worked something out to do something like that. Because like I said, my buddy Gray was taking care of everybody, so I probably could have worked something out. But I didn't want to intrude on that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and it's not a set event or anything like that. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and with it not being a set event, obviously that is yeah, you don't want to horn in.
yeah,
That's something that was of concern for me this weekend as well at Joe Fest, not horning in on somebody else's good time or something that somebody else was expecting.
yeah.
And actually Action Figs rather, my bad, is here.
What's
What's up,
up?
legends? What a great weekend. How you doing, Action? It was great to see you. It was really great to see you, and it was great to see this guy, a punk with toys. You want to talk about some quality conversation, kids?
Yeah,
There
I
there
bet.
was there was much quality conversation to be had, and a little bit of swimming as well. Uh, um, or a whole lot of swimming, depends on how long you feel like being in the pool. And it was actually a long time as the night when turned the sun went down. Um, yeah, it was a blast. I did want to share this picture actually, Matthew, and if you have anything, that you wanted to share picture wise, this is something that you sent to me over the weekend about Kirk Bazigian, recognizing you, and it'd been a while. And he posted this actually, on his Twitter, right? Is this on
Yeah,
his Twitter? Yeah,
yeah. That's
or
on
his
his
X
Facebook.
or Facebook.
Yeah,
I figure whatever social media it was, maybe all three.
yeah,
With Instagram too. But he even posted that too.
yeah.
Took a picture of you, remembered you, put that up. That's a great feeling. That's great, man. That's fun, dude. Like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, Kirk is great, and we've had many conversations over the years about all kinds of stuff. And it's always good to see him, and he recognized me right away, and at the meetup the night before, and so we got some pictures there and stuff. I didn't have time to upload anything, but that one there was pretty cool. When I was like, oh, that's awesome, because I had all of them sign my cover of Dan's book. Um, and uh, that was just amazing. So I just had a blast with all that.
That's just really cool that somebody like that, and that's his. That's not yours. That's not your post. That's not
Yeah,
your, hey, I took this photo of him and I remember him. It's like he remembered you and took a photo of you, and that's fun, man. Like that makes you feel good. I ain't gonna
yeah,
lie. That makes you feel good. You make these friends along the way, these, whether they're creators, no matter, whoever it is, you meet people along the way. And if somebody like that who's done so much remembers you enough to take a picture, post it on his social media, that's got to feel pretty good.
yeah. That was cool.
Not to blow you up here, man. Just to blow your head up here. It's the last thing I want to do. It's already big enough. No, that's me actually. That's my problem. So I've got another one actually. I wanna pull up real quick as well if I can. Yeah. And I kind of put this as part of our thumbnail. I'm gonna stop
Oh
that
yeah,
one, and then I'm gonna bring this one up because you sent it to me, and I thought it'd be fun. Everybody knows this guy. Everybody loves this guy, right? Who is that guy? You tell me.
yeah. Larry Hama. Again, we met about 10 years ago. I was wearing that same hat, wearing a different T-shirt. It matched the hat also at the time, um,
Yeah.
and you know, we became friends on Facebook. We've had lots of chats back and forth about Russian military stuff because I was over there for a little while at one point, and we talked about martial arts stuff. And then I sent him my action figure version of issue 21 that I did,
Mm,
and he loved
okay.
it, and he
I
had some
bet.
questions on it. He was asking, "Hey, how'd you do, that one thing?" And so I went in and told him, and but I meet him in person again, and you know, he meets thousands and thousands of people all the time. So
Of
he
course.
didn't recognize me at first, obviously, but we got to chatting on Friday, and then on Sunday I went back and made sure I had something that he probably hasn't seen much of come across,
The
and
Bucky O'Hare.
yeah, because he's an out and out owner creator of that, and that's why it was published in such a small run. And so Continuity Comics, which is his brand with the artist, I forget the artist who was on. I don't want to misquote it, but I want to say
It's
Neil
okay.
Adams. But
Yeah.
anyway, they did that project together, and you don't hear much about Bucky O'Hare anymore. Boss Fight doing the action figures was the last I heard about it. At one point, Larry was talking about doing a follow up series,
Okay.
um, but he's busy with GI Joe and everything else, and
I mean, look, especially the popularity of Joe again
yeah,
right now, and that Real American Hero comic obviously is doing very
yeah,
well. So, and at his age, I
oh
would
yeah,
say that taking up his time, he can extend himself maybe
yeah.
like he used to. Um,
So he actually missed a convention last month because he got this virus of unknown
mm,
origin. It wasn't
mhm,
COVID, it wasn't the flu, it was some other weird virus that's been
something
going around this springtime,
right.
that people have been getting, and it knocked
Okay.
him out for a little bit. So his health is of paramount concern.
Yeah, to all of us, and
Yeah,
I mean, obviously to him, his family, but to people like us, yes, it's like, hey, you hang back if you have to, you take care of yourself if you have to.
yeah,
We want you in the best health you can be to continue to, do what you do best, which
yep.
obviously is, making these great books. I did want to say, Punk wanted to know, is he your Santa Claus? Is Larry having your Santa Claus? I'd have to say Larry has some really long legs if you were sitting in his lap at that angle.
No, he's to the point where he doesn't like getting up and down to take pictures, so he's got a
Hell
chair
no.
right next to him, and he has
Oh
everybody sit down in the chair to
yeah.
take pictures with people. You look at Ron Rudat was there, and he designed a lot of the GI Joe action figures,
Yes,
sculpted
yes.
them and everything.
Uh-huh.
He can hardly stand anymore,
Mm.
and I mean, I, I I worry about his health moving forward because I hope he's taking care of himself, because there were
Yeah.
some signs that a medical professional like myself would see and go,
Yes, no, yeah, and you would definitely know better than most people at a glance, but you can see certain things the way people get up or move, and
yeah.
that you know what's bothering them. Uh, action is coming for you here, man. Oh my gosh, Matthew, what's going on here? They're coming for you, and Punk said, he's taller too.
I was gonna say, yeah, yeah. Carson is taller than I am. So they took a picture of Carson Metaxas, and sent it to me and said, "Hey, look, both my mods are here."
Yeah. Yeah, I I saw that picture. I remember that picture being taken, if I'm not mistaken.
So
And I
at
oh, and don't
this
know it.
point, I've had Larry sign my Nth-Man #1, my GI Joe 155, these Bucky O'Hare
Okay.
things. So now I need him to sign one of my Wolverine books that he did.
Well, hopefully, God willing, that'll get done, right? You'll be able to get that done, and it's
Well,
getting paid for.
if Punk has his way, it'll be at Joefest next year because he and Ron are scheduled to be there.
Well, and that's what Three Star Draw told me yesterday or the night before. I don't know. They blended together. And yes, if that's the case, because I'm already planning on going back next year to Joe Fest. I have to. If I'm going to be able to have as much fun next year as I had this year, then it's kind of a must do on the list.
Yeah,
There's just no way around it. It was more fun this weekend that I've had in a really, 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 really long time.
that's
And
awesome.
and so let's say we'll get that there. And like I said, I mean, if there's any other pictures, obviously, man, I'll be glad to put them up. I know you had sent me a couple here and there, but
Yeah,
it can
no,
all
that's
start to run together a little bit,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
Um,
the other ones are, some people that might be in the chat or might come by and see it. Yeah,
yeah.
another group that was there that I do want to mention is there's a group of creators that made a movie called Retro Freaks,
Okay.
and it's a horror movie that was done in the DFW area, and it takes place in all of the local vintage toy stores,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and so they're making a Retro Freaks 2. And the guys are cool. They're great to hang out with. They're great to chat with. They're at most of the conventions. The main guy, that's pretty much what he does is he goes around to shows and sells toys, takes care of his kids, and then does the filming stuff when he has the writing and filming as he has the opportunity to. So if you get a chance to see Retro Freaks, please check it out. Those guys are awesome. Um,
Okay.
and that the movie was fun. If you like old, classic 80s, trope horror movies with Ouija boards and bloody special effects, it's pretty
Who
fun.
who who doesn't?
Right.
I mean, come on. Like, who doesn't like that stuff? I I I'll kind of get into Joe Fest here. I did want to highlight a couple comments by Legend Series. He said, "I know me and my lady will be there next year too." And if that's the case, man, then if you add on to the folks that were there this year,
Yeah.
that is just going to be like the icing on the cake. The cherry on top. And I'm not kidding, man, because I'll tell you, Matthew, last week you weren't here. Obviously, you were out of town, and so I had some guests on, and Legend Series was able to come by for a little while. I did have several other folks as well, but Legend came on, and his wife was in the chat. And man, you want to talk about somebody who's on top of things. She was hilarious, dude. And so, Legend, if she comes down there with you next year to Joe Fest, that would be my pleasure. I'm not kidding. That would be absolutely fantastic. And Matthew, hopefully, next year maybe that's the one you decide you want to go to, especially if who's going to be there, at least right now, is going to be there. That would be amazing, dude, if you showed up as well.
I always like going to events because of panels or people that are going, as well as friends, right? So there's going to be more friends going there than people that I need to see
Yeah.
for any other
Yeah.
reason, for sure.
Well, and that's kind of how it was for me, to be honest with you, because it Club Tarkin, baby, Club Tarkin. That
I
was
saw that.
flame.
I saw that picture.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm I was trying to go through down south or Three Star Draws photos because I know he posted some of them. Club Tarkin was the name we gave to the pool, and it's because Travis Moody decided to play some music off his phone. And at first, it was the GI Joe soundtrack. It was like the music from the cartoon.
Yeah.
It's all those songs from the cartoon and throughout the soundtrack. And then all of a sudden it turned into like it was like DJ Dadu, and it was like, whoa, oh, baby. and and it became Club Tarkin. And we rolled with that extensively. And then Scrap Iron, down south's Scrap Iron figure, who is his travel figure. He is a travel figure. And again, I'm not going to give away everything because we have a stream tomorrow. But Scrap Iron tried to self delete. He did. Tried to self delete. It was a shame. We had to bring him back, talk him out of it. And we'll talk about it tomorrow night on our stream. But man, oh man, it was, and I watched it happen in real time. It was like slow motion, and I tried to save him, and Tony's Figs and I could not save him. He was unsavable in the moment. And then I think it was Tony. I think it was Tony that fished him out. But anyway, so that was just a small portion. So I want to finish up with obviously the Dallas Fort Worth GI Joe and action figure show.
Yeah.
So overall, man, you had a great time, right?
Yeah,
You had a
it was
great time. You saw some good creators, some got some signatures maybe, and got some stuff, good trades.
Yep. Yep. And great time meeting everybody. It's Chad was hanging out for a couple of days, and not Top Goon was there, and so a lot of guys that you see normally in the chat, they were all there having a good time. So it was fun to see everybody, hang out with them, and I mean, honestly, that's what shows are more about than anything. I know we focus on going to see certain people and getting autographs and all that stuff, but it really is that community or that family event or whatever, as you enjoy it with the people you're with.
I agree 100%. So getting to Joefest, it was obviously GI Joe dominated. However, at the same time, I really enjoyed hanging out with everybody. I went crazy on day one. There was a 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. early bird special, and I did want to say hi to Tony's Figs who slides in here. My boy Pop with that kooky Matthew. Kooky, man, they're giving you grief, baby. That means next year, Matthew, you got to show up, show us how it's done, man. So yeah, like I ended up having more fun with the people that were there hanging out than walking around the show floor. And don't get me wrong, because I loved walking around the show floor. And Mark Pennington was there,
Nice.
Robert Atkins was there, Shearer was there. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Bob freaking Breakin'.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there was some great people there, and from a figure aspect, from a toy aspect, like, yeah, there was stuff I wanted, and I knew I'm going to look for, and I'm going to fill a couple things out classified wise and whatever. But then there were some surprises in there, and when I saw something, I got it. Now, I'm not a great person for trying to work somebody down on a price, trying to kind of, go back and forth. And real quick, Krusty Old Crow just showed up. Krusty Old Crow was there as well, and I got a couple pictures to show with him as well. The real Grievance. We don't want that fake shit. We want the real one. What's popping with you, buddy? Good to see you, man. Oh shoot, Crimson Cobra Commander. What's up, man? I hadn't seen you in a little bit. It's been a little while, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you're doing well. I've seen your videos, man. You definitely like to schedule those and kind of premiere those, schedule them, and so you got a bunch of stuff going on, dude. It's good to see you, man. So nonetheless, if I saw something, I wanted it, I got it. At the last hour or so, I was able to kind of, as people don't want to leave with more stuff than they came from, right? The vendors want to take less stuff home. and I was able to get a couple of the 25th anniversary display boxes that have the little, you can
Those are
open them
great
up.
sets.
And I love it. I got the Cobra one, I got the GI Joe one, and
Yep.
it's the batteries are dead, but you can press on the GI Joe thing in the middle, and it's got the sound that comes out of it. But I love those. I've always loved them. I saw them at Target years ago
Yep.
when I was not buying anything, and I was like, man, I really, really, really like those. But I was like, oh, I'm not gonna buy these. Well, I don't want these, And I missed out on those, like so many other things. And so that was something that I really wanted. But I really wanted to see the chicken fried toys. The was it the dime novel
Yep.
stories, or the Western figures.
Yeah.
I just love those. I love the look. I think they're freaking awesome. I
Yeah.
like the work that those guys are doing, and I had to have them. And so I got a couple. I bought one for my son, actually, and then the one I bought for me was a Hispanic guy that you could transform into Clint Eastwood from A Fistful of
Oh
Dollars.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I wanted to get a handful of those guys too because they had their time split. They were at both shows.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've always come to the DFW toy show.
Yeah, man.
And so they've always been there, and so they had to figure out how to do it logistically, and they split their time, and they were at both shows. And those cowboy figures, they got one that looks like Wild Bill.
Yes.
That one's awesome. The Wyatt Earp one, that's the one I almost got.
They, and look, they were, 30, $32, a little lower, depending on if they weren't carded, then they were just in a bag. They were like 20, 25, something like that. But I don't know. The first time I saw them, loved them, couldn't help it. And so I said, I'm headed to that. And it was funny because I went live a couple times and I posted some videos. But when I went live and people were like, I know exactly where he's going to. And that's exactly where I went to. And so that was fun. There's a lot of people, and I want to say hey to Woody Triple Deuce, who is in the chat, just showed up, said he's a little bit late, man. Better late than never, baby. Oh man, actually hanging out with some friends from the hood he's known for 37 years. Had to get some human interaction, like I got a lot of this past weekend, which was great for a hermit like myself. And yes, it's been a while for me too, Woody. I'm glad you stopped in tonight, man. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you hanging out last week as well. Real Grievance and Legend also was there with 3-Star Draw in the house. We had Wraith Mace there as well. Let's see here, man. Bobby Wold is in the chat, man. I gotta fit these people in where I can get them in. Are those Cowboys figures 4-inch? They are.
Yes.
And I made the mistake because I'm again, I'm when it comes to the toy part, I try to get things straight. But last night on my live stream, late night, I think I caught him like a 3 3/4 inch, which, it's my mistake. Hopefully nobody holds it against me, or if it's a girl and you want to hold it against me, by all means. So anyway, but yeah, so I'll post a couple pictures here, man, just for fun, and I'm gonna post some more tomorrow night, especially some of the ones that have some stories to them, I guess you could say.
I spent about 2 hours on the phone last night with Punk driving back, so I heard a bunch of stories.
Yeah, no, I bet you did. I had to go by, and you, God, what the name of this group? As a matter of fact, one of my regulars at work follows them, and he doesn't even care anything about toys or nothing. It's a costume group that
The finest.
Yes, the finest. It was right there for me. They were just awesome. I've got some other great photos and videos of them I'll be sharing tomorrow night. And thank you, 3-Star, for saving me a little bit there with the finest. But yeah, Matthew definitely saves me a lot. But they were awesome. They looked awesome, and for great causes, right? Raising money for great causes, veterans, animals, you name it. I mean, they were so cool though, and really fun. I got that print that he was holding up, that was and no political whatever. It says "Make America Great Again." Vote Cobra. It's like that's it. So whatever you take from that, take from it. But I liked it for the Cobra aspect. I thought it was a lot of fun. Let's see. I'll give us. It's a little grainy. This was at night. It's a little grainy, but I don't care, man. Who cares? This was down south, and in front of the Super 7 sign, which is super cool.
See, what
And
you need to do is you just need to go over there and get some 3D printed dollar signs and put it over the S, and then take the picture again.
man, I don't want nobody kicking me out of there. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get run out of a festival, all right, of a freaking con. It's like holy moly. Let's see here. Let's see.
I do want to see their super reaction plus figures, because I don't believe that they're going to use actual O-rings. I think they're using like the T-bar that Carson was doing, or something similar to that.
Okay. Oh, heck. Eric Thurman in the chat. What's up? So this picture, there might be a couple people in here that you recognize, maybe one or two. And Loki Wartooth is in the middle there.
Yep.
Daredevil Dave. Obviously Aaron, the toy enhancer, repping his own channel. I had I think you know who that guy is in the middle or on the right side there, Baldy.
Yep, the short guy.
Punk. Yeah. Oh, which one? So anyway, nah, come on, that's terrible. That's not right. Lord, I apologize. But anyway, I couldn't help myself. I was like, oh, I'm feeling goofy here. I'm gonna be stupid and see if I can find a couple more. Here's one that's really good, and we'll show these again. But I love this guy. You want to talk about a Canadian that you can love?
Oh yeah,
a Canadian you take home to your mom, ladies. Crusty old Crow. That's
awesome.
As long as your mom's into snakes and he can wear that shirt. But man, you want to talk about one of the most positive people that I have met in a long time. That's one of the most positive people that I've ever met in my life. I'm not kidding, man. Like, he loves watching other people get stuff. He loves watching other people like have fun. It was evident. Yeah. It was obvious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Like it really was. It was super obvious. Just that he really enjoyed watching people get stuff, get what they want. And so I loved meeting him and hanging out with him, and they had to he and Aaron and Loki Dave, they all had to leave out kind of early because Crow had to fly out Sunday morning, and so they had to leave out a little early, and so I actually was running around the floor, running around the show floor, and I missed saying goodbye to Aaron, Crow, Loki, Daredevil Dave. I missed saying goodbye because I was running around the floor in this wonderful outfit, and I'll be showing a clip of that tomorrow night.
I couldn't believe that. I go, really? That's what you're gonna
do? Oh my God. Well, you know what? Let me tell you. You know what this did for me?
It got you a lot of people wanting pictures with you.
It got a lot of people wanting pictures. It got kids running up to me. And then well, hang on a second. I can get this thing to as I ran around and went to the Delta 17 booth.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I got Mega J Retro, was like, oh my God, I've got to have a picture. And then he saw me live on YouTube and he's like, is this for your channel? And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, let me give you a shout out on your channel as you're doing live. And so I got a shout out from Mega J. to subscribe to my channel. However,
Nice.
I'd forgotten to tell him the name of it. So, and then he said, oh, hey, I just met Monkey, but it wasn't Monkey. It's Favor. And then he said, hey, subscribe to his channel. It's great, you know. But look, the heart was there. The message, it was great. It was so much fun. And so that was really awesome. And on top of that, Mega J was like, I said, well, I want your first issue of your comic. You know, I got to have it. And let me buy a figure. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 3 for the price of 1 for wearing that suit. I love it. And I was like, yeah, baby.
Heck yeah.
Jay Astro, Pop Blenders, Beaver Hunt. Listen, that is the wrong place to go to if that's what you're on. Okay. I'm just going to tell you right now. It was, it wasn't a Hustler Con. It was Joefest. And while there were some pretty ladies, I ain't gonna lie, and there was some girl dressed up as Cover Girl. Mwah, fantastic. Had some female Vipers.
Nice. I'll never forget in JoeCon 2014, there was a girl that was very nice who dressed up as Tight Ship. Do you know who Tight Ship is?
I don't know that I do.
So there's an episode of a TV show called Community.
Okay.
And it's called G.I. Jeff.
I know the show. I don't know the episode.
You got to find that episode. It's called G.I. Jeff because they've got B.J. Ward and Flint, the guy who did Flint's voice. Bill Ratner, and they do some of the voices, and the whole episode is basically the main character has some kind of concussion or something, is in a coma or dream state, and he dreams in G.I. Joe, and so all the characters become G.I. Joes, and one of the girls from the show is Shipwreck, but they call her Tight Ship because she's wearing Daisy Dukes and a midriff shirt that's all tied up here like that with the sailor's cap on.
Hat. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it now. You piqued my interest. I did want to say hi to Todd C. And yes, Todd C. It was the wrong con for that outfit. I have no interest in furry activity. But when we stopped at Buc-ee's on the way down, I could not. It was $20 bucks, it's 24 bucks.
Right.
I could not help myself. I had to have it. And to be completely honest with you, I knew that my son was going to wear it a lot. And guess what? He's sitting right beside me playing the Hitman video game, and he's wearing said costume. Aiden, you want to pop your head in here real fast and show everybody that you're wearing the costume? Come here real quick, just so you all know. Hello. I knew it. And that's part of the reason why I bought it. So there he is. There's my son, and he is wearing said costume from the con. All right, go back to your hole now. Get in your cage, boy. All right. Aaron the Toy Enhancer also slips in here and says, hey guys, man, hi you, buddy. Great time meeting you. That was wonderful. He was so much fun, and again, also a really positive person, man. Tony's fake Tony.
Tony's awesome.
Really positive dude. I mean, Tony. Everybody was just so happy to be there and everything. And so you're right, Matthew. It's like, yes, you can go to the con and you can really, you can see all the stuff, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about seeing people that you're interested in seeing.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like a bunch of YouTubers, people that I've watched that are cool to me, that I assume are pretty cool anyway, but even cooler hanging out in person. And for you at Dallas Fort Worth, it's about seeing people that actually remember who you are, right? They know who you are. And you get some big timers there that are super cool, and you are able to sit down and have conversations with them. And so it's all really fun. Anybody that tries to say that, it's a bunch of grown men, going and buying toys and shit. Why the hell do you? No. Yeah, everybody has their hobbies. Everybody does. Some people are into cars, right? Some people are into music. Some people are into painting, whatever. This is just something else that people can enjoy. And it was really awesome, like, watching everybody just with big smiles on their face, joking around, cutting up. And ultimately, at the end of the day, people were able to buy stuff they wanted. And that's the other reason you go down there
Yeah.
is to
Right.
find some deals.
Yep.
It was a great panel, with a toy kind of mood, so you had Baldy and Tony and Travis, and you had Punk up there, and then you know, uh Toy Connections was there. He got up there for a minute and had their panel, and it was really good. It was really good. They had a great room. There was a lot of
Nice.
people in there, man. The only bigger panel was the Seth Green panel where they were
Right.
previewing their new show Cleanup Crew. And
Okay.
it's an action figure stop motion like Robot Chicken.
Okay.
And it's not Fumbles, but 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 it was a new show that they've got, and they showed a couple scenes, and so obviously it appeals to us. And so that was cool to see and really fun. And Seth Green seems like a pretty cool dude. I don't know him obviously personally, but seems like a cool dude. And
He
I have a
seemed like
pretty
he was
good
having a
feel.
blast. I was watching him
Yeah.
and all those pictures. He was having a good time.
Yeah. So yeah, man,
And
it was
he's
a
about
lot of
Punk's
fun.
height, right?
Oh boy, I actually think he's shorter.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was
Um,
thinking.
I absolutely do. And I was gonna say real quick, Aaron had said this earlier, Toy Enhancer. He said, I begged Pop to let me wear that damn Bucky costume, but he wouldn't do it. It actually wasn't. I would have actually loved to seen a Viper Bucky the Beaver combo costume. I think that would have been fantastic. But I'm not sure there's a way to make that happen. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I don't know, Aaron. I don't know if it would have fit you, man. Like, maybe. I tell you what, next year I'll bring it. And if you want to do a Viper Bucky Beaver, I am all for it, dude. You should have pushed me harder on that. You should have pushed me harder. That is definitely what you should have done. So yeah, man. Like, I had a blast. You had a blast. I mean, I have a lot of other, pictures here. Like I said, I was definitely gonna share a lot of those tomorrow, because
Yeah.
tomorrow is exclusively holy crap. What the hell is that? Is a GI Joe.
Inception. That's what that was.
Yeah, that was. Uh, but tomorrow's stream with Down South with 3 Star Draw is exclusively a GI Joe stream, basically, every Wednesday night that he and I do. Seven's Wild. There's a fella right there. That fella right there. Uh, good guy. You know
Seven
him.
grown ass men drinking in the pool.
100%. My bad. You
Oh,
know what?
sorry.
You know what? No, you highlight it. There you go. I keep stepping on your toes too, man. It's so silly when I have it. Yes, 7 grown men drinking in a pool, and Scrap Iron, who could not have fun, tried to self-delete himself. Yeah, tried to self-delete. I mean, come on. Oh, and when I came down from upstairs, Travis was like ready to cut his phone off because it had been going. He probably had 15% battery. And so then I jumped into the 80s rock, little Aerosmith and whatever else. There he is. There's that crazy dude. Um, so yeah, man. Yeah, it's a good time to be had. And I don't want to leave him out. I don't want to leave him out. I would feel remiss if I did. And so I will pull this one up real quick because he is here in the chat. Uh, there we go. There you go. That was day one. That was when we checked in, actually.
Yeah.
And I walked in, Down South, went in, checked in, came back out. I went to find a luggage rack, walked in, and I looked up on the landing, and this guy goes, "Hey, hey." I was like, "Hey." And so I ran up there real quick and grabbed a selfie with him. He was getting ready to take off and go down to the con for the early bird special. But anyway, so there's a few of them. There's a few. I'll show a whole bunch more tomorrow night if anybody feels like tuning in, and hopefully you will. Um, so what do you think, Matthew? Is that something? Is that a possibility for you next year that you could work your way down there? I know for you from Dallas, maybe it takes a bit more planning and everything, and family wise and stuff like that.
That's the hardest part is the family stuff because
Sure.
I every year I'm supposed to make a trip to Colorado, and my wife decided a long time ago that she didn't want to go on those trips anymore. So that's a solo trip. And
Understood.
so that's always a discussion that we need to have, and then do we have the funds for it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, and it is. I mean, even for us, I mean, I know it had been planned for a while, but when down south said to me about going, I was like, yeah, I'm all in, and just tell me how much it is and all that. But but I probably have a lot more freedom in that aspect in my life than you do in yours. And those are things that, like, yeah, you for you requires a lot more planning and consideration, and not just from you.
Yeah,
It's other people are involved. And
yeah.
so it was easy for me to go, and easy for me to say, hey, why don't you come on down? And I forget sometimes. So that there are other people involved in people's lives that the normal people out there, not the hermit people like myself, the ones that, crawling out,
Well,
seeing
if
some
I buy
daylight.
zero GI Joes next year, zero action figures next year, I could probably go.
Yeah, that's not happening.
We'll see.
So
We'll see.
so real quick, I want to ask the chat, who out there in the chat got the ferret delivered? Mine came the day before we left. It came last Thursday. Anybody in the chat already get their ferret? I between getting home and then going to work this morning and working all day, I have not seen a review yet. I've not been able to see one. Could
Well,
have made one, but
I don't know if you saw or heard, but apparently BBTS shipped out their torches. So a lot of people
oh,
are going to get their torch
whoa,
figures very, very soon. So by the end of this week, they should all be coming in. So I think Punk had his shipped immediately as soon as it got into his pile.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. So and yes, actually, Tony, you are 100% correct, man. For y'all out there watching, listening, maybe lurking and not chatting, hit the thumbs up. Give us a like. Sharing is difficult, but yeah, hit the thumbs up, man. And I appreciate so many of y'all being in here tonight to kind of hang out with us and get a little take on Matthew's trip and obviously mine, and more to come definitely for me tomorrow night as well with 3 Star Draw on our Sevens Wild stream, which starts at 9 Eastern and 8 Central. Um, so who all got theirs today? Tony, is he say? Let's
Yep.
see.
Tony's
Yeah,
came
yeah, that's
today.
what I thought.
Todd C, Crimson Cobra Commander.
Toy
Aaron
Enhancer,
Aaron got his today.
Crimson Cobra Commander got 2.
Yeah.
Todd C just hadn't opened it yet. I have actually not opened mine just from the weekend and getting in. I was actually going to do a review on it. I don't typically do toy reviews, but I thought about doing one just to get it out since I'd already gotten it. But I see that everybody for the most part is getting theirs in, and so there's going to be plenty of reviews up. You don't need me to do one, but I will be watching everybody else's and trying to thumbs up and comment a little bit in those videos. So let's see. Oh, well, okay, Woody. I love you, dude. I love you. Woody Triple D says my 5 came Friday. His 5 beats your 2 any day.
Wow.
It's something else, man. And yeah, Todd C, unboxing toys is a guilty pleasure reserved when I can be alone in my man cave. I can understand that too. Not everybody feels the need to do a review, to do a video. Um, it's not everybody feels like it's something that they have to show the world. Sometimes it is kind of an intimate thing for you that you want to check it out, kind of play with it, maybe take some photos and stuff like that. And there's probably too many people to name out there that are like
Yeah.
that. That not on YouTube, don't care to be, and don't have to make a video. Although the chat's going wild here with with Woody's at 5 coming. Now everybody is kicking in on. That's pretty funny. um, so so do you want to shift gears? I don't
Yep.
I don't know if our chat wants us to, but I don't know how much more we can milk out of the cons. Um, I figured we would briefly. I don't even know if briefly is the word, but Matthew, can I ask you a question? Have you gotten to the point where you really don't give a shit about the Acolyte?
Yes. I
Yeah,
Star Wars, I have complete apathy. I just don't care anymore. After what killed it for my wife was the Obi-Wan show. She was said, I'm done. I can't watch this nonsense anymore. Um, I quite honestly, the Last Jedi was that turning point, and it's really been downhill since then. And uh, I don't know exactly. I think it was probably around the Last Jedi, Solo. Solo wasn't too bad of a movie. It just
I
had some,
didn't think it was terrible,
yeah.
but I didn't need to know how Han Solo got his name.
No, and that's the
I
thing about those origin movies is, you're retroactively telling stories where you already know what happens later. Good, bad, ugly. You already know what happens to their lives whenever. And so it was a huge mistake for Marvel to do a Black Widow movie after they killed her off, right? Nobody cares
absolutely 100%.
anymore.
Yes,
And it's a mistake to go back and tell Han Solo's story after you killed him off. So I mean, we already know where the end of his line is. To go back and tell the story after they're dead, it's like, what does it matter? And as much as I like the Andor show, it's kind of the same thing, except for Andor's pretty well written and it's got some interesting stuff to it. But it's already the TV show is also already kind of a retcon because
yeah, there's no stakes per se.
yeah,
The stakes rely in Andor. The stakes rely on the other characters
yeah,
involved.
yeah,
And not even the ones that you've ever heard about. Mon Mothma, Andor, anybody else that maybe has lived through. It's the other characters that maybe there's some stakes, but otherwise, you know what happens. So it's hard to be super invested, even though the writing in Andor is really good. I think is actually the best thing written wise that Star Wars, Disney Star Wars has done.
yeah.
I think that it is the best writing, and I do recommend people to watch Andor. And people call it a slow burn, but it's probably one of the best things that they've actually done because the story just it doesn't really have any narrative or agenda or I guess if you wanted to pick some things out, but overall I felt like it was the closest thing to just a good old story that we're going to get out of Disney Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys know, but I mean, there's like 42 episodes of a series called Star Wars Underworld that George Lucas had written, and they'd actually done some of the animatics for some of it or something.
They
Um,
filmed it. Are you talking about the live action? That's
uh,
supposed
well, yeah, so yeah, there was a live action one too.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, he wrote a whole bunch of episodes, and Disney just trashed it all. But I think they're going back and they're mining it, and they're putting some of those concepts in Andor, and I like that idea because it doesn't have to do with the Force. It doesn't have to do with anything but normal people living in this world, because not everybody is a freaking Jedi or a Sith. Okay,
Okay.
there's normal people in this world, in that world.
Yes. Um, so not to get hung up on Andor, because obviously the Acolyte is the newest thing out. And real quick, I want to say hi to the lovely, the talented, magical, and mysterious Crown Fox Productions. Uh, that's why she's a Trekkie. Um,
I
and
love Star Trek.
and I understand that. And I do too. Now, mind you, growing up, I saw the movies in the 80s. I actually liked the movies in the 80s. Okay. I love Wrath of Khan. I like the first one with V'ger and all that, but that's cerebral, which Star
Mhm.
Trek is.
Yep.
Wrath of Khan starts to up the ante. You start to get the action, the search for Spock, and then it was a Lost Planet, or
So yeah, the search for Spock,
and then
the voyage home, Final
yes. Yeah, yeah,
Frontier,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Undiscovered Country.
Undiscovered Country. That's the
Yep.
one that I'm thinking of. But nonetheless, I love those movies. And then when I was in high school, you had The Next Generation. And at
Mhm.
first I was not into that because I thought it was boring. And I really got into it as an adult and realized how wonderful that was. So Star Trek, cerebral, great messaging in Star Trek. You talk about the future. A lot of these issues have been solved as
Yeah.
far as humanity's concerned. But
It was the hopeful future that we all looked forward to,
right, right.
right? And I grew up watching that with my dad, and that's we connected a lot on that, and so Star Trek has always been a part of my life. In fact, the second movie I ever saw in the movie theater was The Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
The first one was 2001: A Space Odyssey, but
So given that you're a Star Trek fan, I'm I say mild. I'm not, I know names, I know certain things. I don't know all the lore. I haven't gone a super deep dive into it, but I've enjoyed what I've watched, which actually is quite a bit. But um that is usually, like I said, cerebral, I guess would be a good word for it. What we have here with the Acolyte is this is one of the worst. It's one of the worst shows I've watched in a long time, dude.
it
Like
kills brain cells. I mean, you're losing IQ points by watching it.
it is. I mean, it's awful, man. And we made fun of the episode 3 with the lesbian space witches, and their persecution and being driven across the galaxy. I brought all those points out on. I did a solo stream that kind of Friday or whatever last week, and really went over a lot of that stuff. You don't need to rehash it, but you always hope maybe the next episode there'll be some redemption. Maybe there'll be some salvation, some salvaging. And what did we get in episode 4? I'll tell you what we got. They went from one planet to another. That's what they did. They went from one planet to another. And at the very end, we got Smilo Ren, who floats in like Mary freaking Poppins, and then a force user with that much power. Don't you think that would be noticed by Yoda, maybe, or anybody else that would? It's amazing to me as far as the story that
It,
they
yeah, if
changed.
somebody is flaunting that much force ability, if they
Oh
are
my
using it,
god!
I mean, Palpatine hid his use of the force and actually purposely shielded himself from the force so that he wouldn't be detected. Well,
Yes.
this person is using it to float around or whatever, and I don't know. It became obvious as if everybody didn't know who Smiler Ren was going to be.
Well,
Um,
and there was a leak actually. Have
well,
you
of course,
have you have you seen that?
yeah, yeah. I mean, they did a piss poor job of setting up a narrative, and somebody else, Thor Skywalker was talking about that today. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's Star Wars Marvel YouTuber. He always poses
Yes.
questions, and really thoughtful kind of guy. And he was talking about it. It says, you know what? The question was asked, what if this wasn't Star Wars? And he said, I think it would be even worse because you have no context, you have no engagement, you have no desire to connect with anybody in this show because they're all horrible people or they have no character whatsoever because they're blocks of wood. He didn't say that exactly, but I'm saying that.
Right.
And if you put the Star Wars label on it, you at least have that part of it. You have something to do with the Force. Hey, there's Sith, there's Jedi, there's something that I want to know about this. Oh, where's the other guy coming from? Whatever. But if you didn't have that connection, then these characters are terrible.
No, they're poorly written.
Yeah,
They are nothing but exposition dumps for the audience.
yeah.
I can't always blame the actors because the direction is crucial, right?
Well, the direction and the writing, and that's what it all comes down
Yes.
to. And if you don't have those two pieces working in conjunction, none of it works. And you're right, you can't blame the actors because, I mean, actors are empty vessels, right? They're vessels to be filled with what the writer and director want them to
Yes.
be. And if there's no true vision, then they can't mold this person into what they want them to be because that's what acting is. It's playing pretend and
Yep.
being what those people want you to be. And now for the most part they're telling people that you're not allowed to act anymore. You have to be exactly who you are all the time, on camera, off camera,
Yes.
you're the same. And then the writing is all exposition. So if all of your writing is narrative exposition, now granted, that's the way television is written for this current generation who watches television while they're surfing Facebook and Instagram and Tinder and Twitch and whatever else. They're on their phone. And so you have to tell them what's going on because they're not really watching, they're not paying attention. So,
No,
yeah,
you're right. And so really a lot of shows do that. They really make that mistake of just, pointless exposition. The characters tell you what they're going to do as they do it, or right before they do it, or they tell you what they've done, and the audience has seen it. Right? There's the creativity. This was supposed to be a murder mystery show, and they solved the murder mystery literally like in the first episode. Now, I think that was kind of too. Yeah, the first couple 4 episodes, murder mystery, somebody's killing Jedi, whatever. And then now we find out that the girl who tries to go kill the Wookiee, he's already been killed. So we have 4 episodes left. It's about to open up into this whole thing. But the problem is with this show is that now they've revealed this villain, true villain, I think way too early, to where you have 4 episodes to try to now figure out how to fill. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, the
yeah.
score now is like 14% on Rotten
13,
Tomatoes.
14. Yeah.
13.
I saw another post from another friend of mine today, and he's very normy about all that stuff,
Yeah.
whatever. And he's like, I want to watch the Acolyte and get into what they're doing with the story and the characters and everything. I just can't. I've tried and I just can't get into it. What's going on? And it's like, dude, it's terrible writing. And you know it deep down, you know it. And that's why your brain is turning off. You're like, I just can't even do this anymore. It's not worth the energy.
It is difficult. It is difficult to try and quote unquote a normie, okay, who doesn't really pay attention to a lot of the stuff. It is really difficult sometimes to get somebody to recognize those things when they're right in front of them. I had a few people come into the bar, and I asked if they were watching the show, and they were like, yeah, it it had some cool fight scenes. and and I had to hold my tongue because I didn't want to break their bubble, right? Like I didn't want to just go all in, but I try to dance around it a little bit and suggest and maybe, hey, well, did you notice this though, or did you notice that? But I don't want to be, look, people like what they like, but this is obviously clear that this show, um, this show is receiving some of the worst reviews. And don't let the mainstream media fool you out there. They are getting bad reviews, not from review bombers. These are not people that are, now, are there some who have like a fake account and they've never reviewed a movie and this is the first thing they've ever reviewed? Yes, absolutely. That is the case. But overall, most of the people that are saying they don't like this show, these are real accounts, and it's not review bombing, because review bombing works both ways, and
Yeah.
I talked about that one time, is that you can have a show that a lot of people don't care for, but it gets review bombed in a positive way from a bunch of bots and a bunch of fake accounts and all that stuff. So it does work both ways when it comes to this review bombing, but the mainstream media is just clinging onto this. Obviously it's gotten out as well that the showrunner and the lead actor, in an interview said it was the gayest Star Wars ever. I don't care, again, about whether or not the characters are or not, but when you go out of your way to make statements like that, you're going to turn a lot of people off. It just is what it is. Um, and I agree with that. What do you think about that? Like Willow got taken off because it was
Willow got
so
nuked. Yep.
bad, so bad.
So, and here's the thing. I mean, the reason that Willow got nuked is because they have server space. They have so much server space that they can use for streaming all these shows, and it wasn't worth the bandwidth to even keep it up there. And
Right,
so they just said, boom, gone.
right.
And I imagine that they are going to, I mean, they're going to fight it tooth and nail to keep it up there for what it represents, but it's going to go because nobody's watching it.
Even the people that Leslie Headland, the showrunner, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, um, no matter what messaging, no matter what narrative, whatever it is that's trying to be accomplished with this show, with the space witches, with the strong female protagonist, strong female antagonist, whatever it is, whatever the bottom line is, it's a shit show, and nobody likes it except for the critics, which
But
again,
okay, so do they really? Because if you read their reviews, they are critical of the show throughout the entire review. They give it a good
yes,
review, but they are critical of everything that they're doing in there because they know it's garbage, and they have to tell you it's garbage. But they're going to tell you, I gave it, 4 stars or
4 out of
whatever.
5, 8 out
Yeah,
of 10.
yeah,
But usually those same critics will also put their politics into the article. And they'll tell you, they'll have a phrase in there. There's always like the Acolyte, which by all standards is, messing with lore. And then it'll be comma, includes the first gay black woman lead in a Star Wars show. There's always phrases and buzzwords and stuff like that. We all know how to call those out. We know how to sift through those, but a lot of people don't. And it's just like you said, watching a show and not paying attention, flipping through your phone. There's a lot of normies. There's a lot of people out there. They don't. And they read these articles and they get sucked in by it because of the access media, getting their goodie bags, getting their preview, their 4 episodes early, right? So they can be the first one on the jump. Um, and I think now, though, we are really, really, really starting to see people really turn that tide.
yeah,
And you're starting to see critics. You're starting to see critics who like Collider busted their ass for 5 years being a Star Wars fan. Okay. Like you have the famous podcast that happened a few years ago that Red Letter Media made fun of with the nerd crew. This Collider podcast. It's like, I busted my ass for 5 years being a Star Wars fan, and they couldn't invite me to the damn Galaxy's Edge. It's the access. It's the access that
yeah.
people want. And so, but you're actually starting to see the media turn on it as well. And also, I can tell you that the number of eyeballs we had watching on this stream when we started talking about Star Wars went down about 7 or 8. I don't want to say there's a correlation, but I would dare say that there might possibly be a correlation with that. Um, Real quick, I know there's a little bit going on in the chat. So here's the deal, Matthew. I don't know that I can finish this show.
Yeah.
We talked at the beginning of it about
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
we would watch it to tell people about it. I I just don't think I can. I just don't think I can talk about it. This show is so bad. What
Well,
scares me is that Leslie Headland, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, wants to do KOTOR.
yeah, no, no. I think after this, she's gonna get the Dan and Dave treatment. So when Dan and Dave screwed up the end of Game of Thrones, because they wanted to work on their Star Wars project, they screwed it up so bad. Star Wars said, you ain't touching Star Wars."
Right. Well, I hope so. I truly do hope so, and
Yeah.
I hope that as some directors go off into like the Hollywood purgatory where they have to work their way back, you don't hear from them for 5 years, 4 years. I just hope no one offers her $200 million
Yeah.
to create another show.
I don't think so. I think because I mean, even the way the critics who say they're positive have been talking about it, and the other critics who are being honest are talking about it. Um, I don't see how she gets work anytime soon, unless it's by Russell T Davies, and they want to do
Oh,
another one of
Jesus.
her shows. What was it? So she did something that somebody really
Was it Russian Doll?
Russian dolls, yes. So she
Yeah.
did a really good job with that. Great. Let her go make those types of things. She does not belong in genre. So
Well,
many
it's
of these
just
people can succeed really well at doing the stuff that they're good at and not
yes.
dipping their toe into genre. If
It's
you get into
also
genre, you have to love the genre.
it's also similar to having, some of the directors that Marvel has brought in for the Marvel shows or Marvel movies that were, someone who did documentaries. Somebody who has done certain types of movies that really have no experience. And while occasionally you get lucky and find an auteur who can bring something to life and have their kind of own take on it, um, most all of these decisions have been bad decisions.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, I mean, Jesus, even Russell T Davies might be run out of town here. He's done a
Well, yeah.
just brutal job with his second go around of Doctor Who, and I'm not even a Doctor Who fan.
Well,
Okay.
and I mean, Gary brought it up today, I think too. It's like you don't want your old favorite creators to come back because they're different people now. I mean, you look at Steven Spielberg, and he really can't make a good movie anymore. And you look at all these people that we loved in the '80s or even '90s, and bringing them back to do stuff in the vein that they did back then, they can't. They're not the same people anymore.
It's like a musician.
Yeah.
It happens. Okay. When you are in your late teens, you're in your early 20s, the creative juices are flowing. You are headstrong, you're young, dumb, right? And you are just you can stay up all night. You can work for 18 hours a day. You can do it over and over. But the creativity part, especially for those who have creative minds, you see it in music, you see it in people in Hollywood, and but there comes a time in life where you're not angry at the world anymore, right?
Right.
You're not a punk rocker anymore.
Trent
You
Reznor, when he got hooked up with his girlfriend, and his music totally changed. He was not the same after that.
getting married, having
Yeah.
kids, losing
Yeah.
a parent.
Yeah.
There's so many things that people they have to turn around and reflect on their life. And those that are in the creative sphere, it having the anger, the
Mhm.
emotion is so crucial to it, right? And so to ask a Steven Spielberg or even like a George Lucas back,
Mm.
even the last 20
Yeah.
years,
Yep.
to go back and try to rediscover that passion,
Well,
it's really difficult
do you know what Tarantino said about the whole thing?
because he only want to make 10 movies.
Yeah, I mean, he said he's seen the progression. He's seen it happen to other people. He's seen it happen to some of his favorites, right? And he's like, I'm going to make 10 movies and that's it. Once I make my 10 movies, I'm done. I don't know if that's entirely true, but at the same time, he can be an executive producer. He can help some people out. He
Oh,
can,
sure, sure.
do whatever. But to make his movies to his mark that he wants to have that control on, he's going to make his 10 films and he's out. And I think that's almost kind of brilliant, because if you make 10 quality films or films that you are passionate about, then that's great. And you
Yeah.
have that and you can set it aside and say, and move on and do something else.
Yeah, no, I love that, and the thing of it is because he has enough space between his films, he's not
Yeah.
just churning them out.
Right.
Is that you're able to have another life, give yourself other experiences. You're not on a movie set, 11 months out of a year. You are able to experience life and bring that into what your next project is, and with enough time in between, when you go back to it,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's easier for that passion and that energy when
Yeah.
you're not doing it around the clock all the
And
time like a lot of people are.
what's another thing that's fascinating to me, we were talking about Star Trek, so I'm going to talk about Star Trek for a little bit
Sure.
too. Patrick Stewart, when he did Next Generation, he was Captain Picard, and that's the way we knew Captain Picard. He developed that character through those 7 years of working on that show, crossing over here and there, doing whatever. When it came time to do the movies, he forgot how to be Captain Picard. And so when he did the movies, it's not the same man.
No, you
So
can
so
tell when you watch.
he played the character totally different in the movies than he did in the TV show. And then when they brought him back for the TV show Picard, he forgot it again and played it totally different there too. Now, Terry Matalas was a better director for season 3 and reeled him back in and got him to be a little more Picard.
Yes, much. I mean, that was a good season.
That was a good season.
Yes, Picard season 3. Yeah, for anybody out there, you know, that Picard show, the first 2 seasons, throw it in the garbage.
Garbage. Yep. Just go to the third one. Jump straight to the
season.
third.
Yes, watch season 3.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I thoroughly enjoyed season 3. OG Dune,
Eric.
interesting.
Yeah. Well, so Patrick Stewart was in that, and he played Gurney Halleck. Eric, have you seen the Spice Diver cut of David Lynch's Dune? Because it's 4 hours and it's awesome. And if you haven't seen it, you should go find it and watch it, because it's a better version than the theatrical. But I love the miniseries. I love the Lynch version. I love the Spice Diver cut, and I love the new one. So they all have aspects that I really appreciate.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out real quick to War Chest Full of Toys is here, and he announces it with a bang. War Chest is here. That's cool, dude. Cool, dude.
I will tell you that you don't have to watch the first 2 seasons to watch the third.
You really don't.
I highly recommend that you watch the third season, because it is almost as good as All Good Things, because it truly does bring the characters forward and finally wraps up all of their storylines. Yeah, there's some stuff from the first 2 seasons that gets mixed in there, but it's not really that important. It's not that prominent.
It doesn't override the
It doesn't override it.
by any
so
means.
I highly recommend find a way to watch just season 3 of that, and I think that you will appreciate it, because they did justice by the characters.
Yeah, and it was really fun to see the old crew come in. They're older, they know it, they talk about it. It's not, you know what I mean? And it's fun to see these people come to grips with the fact that, like, they're older now. They can see their mortality. They can, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everything I had heard and kind of watched about the first 2 seasons, I was like, there's no way in the world what's the point even doing it? And then you find out Terry Matalas is attached to it. They allowed him to kind of go off and do his own thing. What's a shame about that is that he got kind of taken right back off of it, right back off of whatever. It's like you get that.
They didn't plan to do anything more than that.
No,
Klutzman had already thrown it in the garbage and said, I'm done with it.
But Kurtzman is taking right back over, right? And you don't see now. I did see just recently, just really quickly, that if I can find it, that Terry Metalis, I saw his name announced with oh, okay. He's gonna do the Enemy Mine, the
Oh,
remake of
yeah,
Enemy
yeah.
Mine.
I did see that. I loved
Yeah.
Enemy Mine as a
Yeah.
kid. There
Yeah,
was something
yeah.
about that. And then you know what was fascinating about that to me was later on in the next generation, Darmok and Zalard at Tanagra. That whole episode reminded me of Enemy Mine, and so it kind of
Yeah,
bridged the
yeah, yeah.
gap.
Well, hopefully with Terry Metalis doing it, I'll give it a shot,
Yep,
100%. And I wanted to show that real quick about Crown Fox too, because
yep,
she says the next generation was about positivity, striving for utopia, and I see the commercials for the show be so negative, and it upsets me. But she's going to give season 3 a shot. I promise you, Crown Fox. I promise you, season 3 is really, really good. It yeah, just watch it. You'll have a smile on your face at the end,
yeah,
and seeing the journey.
yep.
Again, this is coming from somebody that is not a huge Star Trek fan. There are things I like, there are shows that I've watched and liked, but I couldn't tell you all about the lore and some other things. But I can tell you that season 3 is really good, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to recommend anything to you if it has a hint. I mean, yes, it has a little bit of the first couple seasons, but it's very small, very,
Yeah,
very small.
and Terry did his best to circumvent, to retcon, to get rid of the nonsense that happened in the first
Yes,
two seasons. So
yes,
they're almost passing comments that they have to just get them out of the way
yep,
as they're going through the
yeah,
show, and they don't spend any time on it. They just keep going
nope.
because there is some really really dumb stuff that happened there.
Yeah, and Crimson Cobra Commander, the Orville
It's
says that,
awesome.
yeah, awesome show. I've I'll be honest with you. When the Orville came out, I was really, really, really not watching any television. And when I say any television at all, there were no shows that I was really watching at all. Um, there I was way behind on a lot of stuff. And so when it came out, it was almost like, okay, here's another show. It looks funny. I do like Seth MacFarlane. I do like his stuff, for whatever reputation he has in Hollywood. I don't know. I don't know the man, but um, I've always liked his stuff. I love the Family Guy. I love some of the Robot Chicken stuff, right? His guest appearances here and there, and whatever American Dad, and so yeah, I really want to watch the Orville, and I've heard it is a really, really good show as well.
It's worth it. It's worth a shot. The first season, Fox didn't know how to market it or what it was really going to be, and so that was kind of a misstep because it wasn't as much of a comedy as people were thinking it was going to be. It has its comedic events, but basically it's normal dumb idiots in space, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
um,
I've read and seen from people I trust, that you and I trust, that we watch a lot, heard nothing but great things about it. They seem to really enjoy it, so I'm sure that I would too.
I was super pumped when Gary got that set tour.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be freaking ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely need to check that out. Crimson Cobra Commander, real quick. It's the best thing. It's on Disney Plus, the best thing on their next X-Men 97. We talked about that a few weeks ago. I really enjoyed X-Men 97. I think that I think it was some good writing. It was surprising, and it was better than I ever thought it was going to be. Ever thought it was going to be.
And then they fired the guy that made it.
And
So,
then
you
they
know.
fired the guy that made it. So we'll see. But I'm sure they're going to move forward with another season, correct? I think maybe they.
I'm pretty sure it's the most popular animated show. It's one of the most popular things on the streaming shows on
Yeah.
network. So
Yeah. So, well, I tell you what, we'll kind of bring it around on the back end, and let's get into a little House of the Dragon. Um, so episode 1 for those of you that haven't watched it. Actually, you know what? Let me take a little poll real quick for those of you that are still in here, hanging out. Um, how many of y'all have actually seen House of the Dragon season 1 or season 2, episode 1 or 2? Or how many of y'all have seen, obviously, Game of Thrones? I would suspect many have, but House of the Dragon in particular. Has anybody actually clocked in on that show to check it out and see what it's all about? I'll give it a second to see. I will tell you this, and we've talked about this too. It was better. Last season was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to expect after the last season of Game of Thrones.
Right.
And while I have talked to a few people who are not crazy about it, maybe thought it was a little too slow, maybe thought it was, I guess without the threat of the walkers, this is more of a family story, right?
Yeah.
Like ultimately, at the end of the day, it is much of a family story than it is about the White Walkers and the whites and death coming from the north. And maybe it hit with me because it's a father who is trying to keep his family together. It's actually a good king who
Yep.
is trying to just get everybody to get along. But you and I both know in Westeros that is just not possible, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Now, do you mean version 2 as in House of the Dragon, or do you mean season 2? I'm not quite sure what you mean there.
I'm guessing maybe he's saying this is like Game of Thrones, just version 2 part. You
Uh,
know what I mean? Like it
and
leads.
if that's the case, then yeah, I'd agree with that, and they will hopefully work on some of the mistakes that happened, but we'll see.
Crown Fox. Hey, if that's your thoughts, then that's your thoughts. I mean, if it was, too woke or too gay, I can tell you, I think the show um is able to tell a story with two female, two queens, which, here's the deal. No matter what people think about the show, this is a actual story that's been written by George R. R. Martin. Now, do they take liberties with certain things? Of course they do. TV always does that. Movie
Well, but
adaptations do that.
also you have to understand that the way the books were written about this time period, it was written from 3 different perspectives, and each one of them is an unreliable narrator. And so what really happened is never really certain. So the TV show is trying to weave the path in between it.
Yeah, and I kind of talked about this last week too, the unreliable narrator kind of thing, where you get different perspectives. Real quick, Woody, have a good night, buddy. I know you'll catch the replay. Tomorrow. Anybody that's out there haven't liked this stream, please do so. And if you haven't subbed, which I assume most all of you have, please give me a sub. And then we'll talk about here in a couple minutes about checking out Matthew's Instagram as well, and following him. I know he's got his info. As a matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and put it right back up there for now. So yeah, the unreliable narrator thing, I think is, yes, it can be a really fun way to do a show. It can be a good way to kind of fill in some gaps and also leave the audience guessing, is that actually what happened? Whose perspective is it from? I know season 2, because season 1 ended with a bang.
Yep.
Right? We have dragon on dragon crime. Really dragon on dragon and dragon rider crime. We have to be. Going into season 2, it's like, oh, here we go. We're going to be cooking. Things are going to be going. And actually, episode 1 was some setup, right? It was more setup than anything. There was some and I don't know if for those of you who haven't watched it and maybe don't want any spoilers, maybe we can give you a week and combine a couple episodes. But um, there is a murder that happens at the end of the episode.
And it
That is,
makes me mad because they messed it up.
yeah. Well, so see, I don't know if I want to, like, and most people here probably don't care because they have seen it, but I can't say that for sure.
Yeah.
And people watching the replay. But you had mentioned that a bit the last time you and I spoke. But nonetheless, in the show, it ends with a murder. This has huge ramifications for every house because there's loyalties at stake,
Mm-hmm.
and so the first episode was more setup, but then we get Damon, from the House Black, commissions someone to do something dastardly, and they
Mm-hmm.
just fuck it up.
Yep.
They
Totally.
they absolutely butcher this plan, and they freak out, and so there's a death that happens, and it is you know so picking up into the next episode, the most recent one. What do you think so far since you were able to? I'm halfway through it. What do you think so far as you've kind of got through it? Yeah, and real quick, I just want to show this. 3 Star says that they butcher it all right. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Now it doesn't show it,
Yeah.
but you can only imagine how awful this thing that they do.
But the way they wrote it in the book would be a whole lot more intense and have longer lasting ramifications if they had told it the way it was in the book, but they did it different in the TV show. It is what it is. It's fine, but it's one of those things. Why does that keep going off? It's fine, but it's just not the way I would have done it. I would have stuck more close to the book because of what it means, what that will mean for the future. But I believe they did it that way because they're going to focus more on Eamon's story, and they're going to change some of
Yeah,
his stuff moving forward. Because I mean, he is so loyal and he wants to do the right thing and he wants to be a protector of the realm. He wants to be a loyal member of the family in the house to do the right thing, and that's going to get him into some problems later on.
yes. It did. So, Legend. Yes, there are books. This is a Dance with Dragons. Is this
No,
no no
it
the
it, it is called the House of the Dragon.
how yeah, that's it, House of the Dragon. And
Yeah,
it's but as far as the books for the series,
yeah,
unfortunately they're never going to be finished,
yeah. No, never.
because the writer is
But
George R. Martin, and he's pretty old and has
yeah,
no intention on really probably finishing the books. But
the
go ahead,
House
man.
of the House of the Dragon story he did finish,
Yes.
but it's told in a different way. It's less of a narrative and more of like a historical text. It's a different type of read. It's still interesting, I thought, but if you like the Silmarillion, then you can like this House of the Dragon type of stuff because it's kind of background. And like I said, it's 3 different narrators that are not consistent, unreliable, because they all have their agendas and they're trying to write it out for their agenda.
Right.
Um, and so there's some gaps in there, but basically it's going to be that history that leads up to what A Song of Ice and Fire was supposed to be.
Yes. I think they are dancing a little close with um the Game of Thrones series. There, some things they've kind of brought, but I think that it's only natural
Yeah.
that you're going to have those connections, and some of the prophecy connections, right? And where they misread has it
Yep.
been misread? 3 Star Draw says that all the albino people look alike. I can't keep them straight. To the Targaryens.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, they did some differences from the books, and they gave some different skin tones to some of them to
yeah,
make sure
yeah,
you could tell them apart.
yeah, they
Um,
did. They absolutely did.
but most of the pure blood Targaryens were supposed to have white hair and purple eyes, so that was supposed to be a thing.
Yeah, and I think it would have, man, it would have been really, really freaking cool
Yeah,
to see. But you know, it's hard because like, I could do a deep next week we could do a deep dive on, episode 2
yeah,
and maybe even episode 3 if there are those here that don't mind, spoilers. I mean, it's hard because this show is getting a lot of viewers. It is popular and people really like it. And so if you're into it, chances are you're going to try to watch it. Now, of course, we stream on a Tuesday night. It comes out on Sunday night. And so I know that a lot of people can't fit into that 2-day gap there.
yeah.
But and I don't want to lose someone just because they don't, they're like, and I really don't want this part spoiled. But at the same time, I'd love to kind of do a deep dive in it because I do find it fascinating. I do enjoy the show. I think this most recent episode, like I said, I'm halfway in. And that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Coming back, doing a stream after you've been out
Eh,
all
I-
weekend out
I'll
of town and
yeah.
everything.
I'll say this: the second episode ends on another banger, right? I mean,
I I've heard, but I don't
yeah,
know what it is yet.
yeah. So
Okay.
this one's a little more setup, but there's a little more action in terms of character dynamics, what's going on, and people are starting to fill out their roles, and you start seeing how the ground is being laid for what's coming.
Yeah, one
And
one of the
it,
twins gets uh,
it
man, you want to talk about Sir Kristen Cole being a bastard.
well, and then he keeps fumbling his way up the ladder. So talk about the
Yeah,
guy who's failing upwards.
yes,
And they call him the Kingmaker for a reason.
right. So
So
it is it really is. I love the intrigue. I love the political machinations, but really in this particular show, it has been family dynamics and how things can fall apart. And in this world, loyalty, bending the knee, recognizing a certain person as your king or
yep,
queen means everything. And
yep.
if you don't, that means you are an enemy.
And I will say this, okay? I'm going to put this out there in case you don't realize it, but none of these people are good people. Oh, there's a couple, but you only see one of them, and we're going to hopefully get his story told in another series pretty soon.
You talking?
Sir
Yes.
Duncan the Tall,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're doing
Um,
that. They're doing, from what I understand, they're filming that, or it's started.
Yeah, and so he's like the only good person that has a decent ending in the George R. R. Martin world. But this, what happens here with this conflict, is the one of the major reasons why moving forward in the Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire universe, they will never let a woman be queen again. They will never let a woman be in charge because of what these two women do to the entire realm.
And it's brutal, and it's really, now I don't know how they're going to try to stretch this out more. I mean, 3 seasons, I just don't know.
No, it's there. I mean, they could take it all the way up to a Song of Ice and Fire if
They
they
could.
wanted
I
to.
don't think they're going to do that though,
They
but
won't, because they're going to do the Duncan egg thing after this is over,
right.
and then that can feed more into it, and then there's still a little bit of gap there too. But
Yeah, a little bit extra that they could do. 3 Star says there's not one likable character in this entire show. Seeing how they
oh,
die
I
out is the only
disagree.
thing to look forward to. I think there
I
are some.
disagree.
I think there are some likable characters. Now you may not like their methods, or you may not like their some of their decisions, but I would dare say most of the public is a Rhaenyra fan.
Yeah,
They're more House Black than House Green. Um, but Otto Hightower is obviously someone who has done everything he can to get his daughter, obviously, married to become queen, and then put in the machinations for her son to be the one, true king, so to speak. And if you don't know, Rhaenyra, her father was king, and he actually said that that was his rightful heir to the throne. Well, people in Westeros have a problem with that.
yeah,
It's a big problem with that, because it's supposed to be your firstborn son,
Yep.
and not a female. And
Yep.
so this is what this show basically has caught. This is what it's about in
Yep.
essence at the end of the day.
And I like Eamon and I like Damon and I like
Yeah.
Viserys
Yeah.
and honestly I like the Sea Snake. Um,
Yes.
I actually like many of the characters. Not that they're good people, but the characters that are fascinating, and I want to see where they're going to go. The spider for this version, or whatever you want to call him, the guy that's limping around. He's
Yes.
fascinating how he's trying to manipulate things.
Yeah, boy, it's amazing too in both shows how the hand to the king can be so influential, or the whisperer, right? Like
Oh yeah,
Viserys, or
the Whisperer. Yeah,
varies in Game of Thrones,
yeah,
being the whisperer, having his children run all over town
yep,
to deliver him information and listen to stuff, and so those people are always fascinating because they and usually it doesn't turn out well for
yeah.
those people.
And
They
if you
feel
know
like,
your Song of Ice and Fire lore, at the end of episode 2, you kind of know what's going to happen in episode 3.
yeah,
If
that's
if 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 you know the lore and stuff like that, it's going to be very interesting how they do this and how that place gets its reputation from the
yes.
future moving forward, and why Littlefinger had it and all that other stuff.
And yeah, Crimson Cobra Commander, House of the Dragon before or after Game of Thrones. It is actually before. It is before Game of Thrones period of time, just so you know. And again, I recommend it. I think, season 1, I think, is really good television. It was one of the best things we've had come out in a long time in a sea of crap. And oh, holy moly, man! Wraith Mace just popped in, said
And he's
hello.
yelling at us right off the
Hey,
bat.
yes, he's an all caps son of a gun, isn't he? Although I think he probably was
He
typing and
switched it. Yeah,
accidentally hit the
had the
caps
caps
lock.
lock on.
Yeah, it happened to me earlier. Wraith, it's good to see you, buddy. Yeah,
Holy caps.
holy caps. Um, and then real quick, too, 3-star draw says that dude reminds me of Worm Tongue from Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's someone who is getting information. Now, Worm Tongue, Sauron had a hold on the king, and so Worm Tongue was there to facilitate Sauron's deeds. But yeah, this guy, he's got his own he's got his own ways, and it's just like Varys had his own ways, and these people usually feel like they are controlling the universe. They're controlling the king, and usually you find out that ultimately those people meet a very terrible end because they think they're smarter and they're actually not. And so yeah, man, it's I'm enjoying it. I like The Last of Us. I think there are some things in it that I don't like. There's a lot of things in it I don't like. I did love the first game. I don't care for the second game. But I can understand there's some things in The Last of Us that I think a lot of people like. And there's some things I liked, but there's a lot of things that I was not really thrilled about in that show. And I don't want to get off on a long tangent. We're kind of, pulling up to the driveway here, rolling in, hitting the automatic garage door button for Matthew, um, as we roll up. So look, I knew that the con talk, the Joefest and the GI Joe and action figure show in Dallas Fort Worth was going to take up a good amount of time, but I just wanted to recap that and get your thoughts on that, especially. I think, and I don't know if you agree with me, Matthew. I think from here on out, man, I'll cover some Star Wars topics and get into some of the more political stuff on my Friday stream, because I know that you and I like to stay away from those things on Tuesday night for the most part, and just get into the merits of the shows themselves and everything. When it comes to Star Wars talk, I mean, until something new is announced, until there's something that comes out that's really worth talking about, I don't even know if I really feel like talking about Star Wars.
I mean, apathy is setting in across the board with Star Wars. So I'm apathetic at this point, and none of it's exciting to me anymore. You know, you can't dangle the keys in front of me and say, "Look at this cool design," and get me to come back right now. I need somebody to tell me it's going to be good. I need somebody to assure me that
Yeah.
they're sticking to some aspect of the lore that is solid foundation. That they're going to tell me a story about good and evil, because that's what Star Wars is. It's a story about good versus evil in clearly defined margins for children, for adults, whatever. It is a simplified story. There is no real gray in Star Wars. And when you introduce the gray, when you introduce a lot of this modern stuff that they throw in there, it takes away from the heart of what Star Wars was. It was fantasy, and it's always been fantasy. And when you try to ground it too much in the real world or put modern politics or whatever else on it, you kind of take away from that. And I
Um,
don't know.
and people, normies, are also figuring that out, and
They
they
are
are.
tuning out.
That's right. So, yeah, until something interesting comes along, until there's something good or can be confirmed good, I don't know. Um, I'm just gonna kind of leave it be. This show is just absolutely brutal, and I really don't feel like I really don't feel like watching it, and I hate that because I honestly love Star Wars, but it's
Right.
so bad I don't even care about it.
Yeah. I mean, I always loved Star Wars. Star Trek was first, but in the 90s, I really fell in love with it with Timothy Zahn's books. And then they
Yeah.
brought back Power of the Force 2, and then you had the prequels coming out. And then the prequels kind of whatever, and then Clone Wars. And so you had these ups and downs throughout Star Wars, but there was still some kind of consistency. Now it's just all over the place, and I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. Real quick, Wraith Mace, man. Talking about some 40K, saying talk 40K where you watch some 40K animation. I have actually
Yeah.
watched some 40K animation, and it looks absolutely amazing. And if
Yep.
you're willing to do a watch stream together, and you want to see if anybody wants to, pull it up. Now, I don't know if that's something you can watch on the screen at the same time, with copyright stuff. But yeah, I'm down. I'm actually got Bolt Gun downloaded.
Ooh.
And so I was gonna have fun with that because it looks like, what do they call them? The not dad shooters, but the boomer shooters. Boomer
Mm.
shooter, the old graphics from, the 90s and whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, Wraith, get a hold of me. You know how hit me up. And I'll do that with you sometime. That'd be cool. And I love to do a reaction video with you too. I'm all about creating some content for sure. But speaking of which, tomorrow I'm off and I've got to get editing my Joefest trip, and
There
I've
you
got
go.
to get a new video out. Not just a short. Although, dude, so Saturday night I was sitting at 2.5 thousand views on my channel. Sunday morning I was at 4.9. And
Wow.
then today, I got an email at work that was up to 5.5.
Nice.
So, yeah, getting there, man.
Nice.
Definitely. So, but anyway, so look, it's time to wrap it up. Everybody in the chat and watching the replay, thank you for popping in, and hanging out with us, man. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure for me to talk to you, Matthew. Throw it out there for those that'll maybe tune in for the replay, where to find you and your wonderful photos.
I'm on Instagram at Mamu's Action Figure Blog. I post every day, and I did something out of the ordinary, and I posted some pictures from the convention I was at. But normally
Yeah.
it's all toy photos on mine.
I'm glad you did, because I think it is fun to do that, and I think people are interested. They are interested. But you post a lot of stuff, and they look really good. Um, so
That's one thing that Kirk said to me right away too. He says, "I've been following your pictures, man. They're so cinematic. The lighting is great." And I
yeah,
go, well, "Thanks, man. I appreciate it."
right. You're like, yeah, I'll take that one. I'll take that compliment all day. Um, Well, my Instagram is popblender75. If you're interested, I've posted some things on there. I've done a lot of messaging, honestly, on there more than anything.
Right.
But I'll get in the habit of using it. It's baby steps, baby steps, little by little. So you can reach me there. I have a couple things, and I'll put some more on there as we move along. Obviously, the Pop Blender YouTube channel is easy to find. Right? No, if you're not subscribed already and you want to find the channel, you've already found it if you're watching this stream. Subscribe if you like watching the replay, but that's where you'll find me. And I will be doing a stream tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, with Down South 77, aka 3-Star Draw, on his channel. It's called Sevens Wild, and it is mostly GI Joe talk, and we are going to have a thorough discussion over Joefest
Nice.
from this past weekend. So that should be fun. I hope to see a lot
Yeah.
of you guys in there as well. And so yeah, Matthew, we'll wrap it up, dude. Always fun talking
just want to
to
say,
you.
Wraith,
Yes.
I did see the photo, Wraith. That's awesome. It's the framing, everything, lighting that you're doing. It's awesome. It's getting better. So nice job.
All right. Well, with that, then I'm gonna hit the outro, man, and we'll finish it up, dude. Matthew, I'll talk to you soon, buddy. All right.
Have a good night, guys.
You too. Thanks, y'all.